I mean, all I can say is I'm glad you're starting to get some of the comment hate for your
I don't care.
views on She-Hulk.
I
It's
don't
not
care.
just me.
I don't care. I think that, unfortunately, let me talk about some mistakes that I think that we made. Is that we reviewed the first 4 episodes. When you see the first 4 episodes of something like this, it gives you a broader perspective about what it is, because the first episode isn't the show. The second episode is what the show. It's a courtroom drama sitcom.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, it is pretty much the pilot of She-Hulk.
The second episode should have been the pilot. Ultimately, they should have taken the first episode, which was her origin, put it in the middle of the show. Or my understanding is that all of the material that was in the first episode was a series of flashbacks. They edited them together, which is why it feels so kind of choppy.
Mm-hmm.
Other people have mentioned that it feels kind of choppy and off. So yeah, I did see that Paul Chato watched episode 2 and he liked it. Now that you kind of see what it's settled into. But Alan, I didn't want to talk about this today. You want to talk about it. So let's talk about it for the next few minutes and we'll go to some quick comments here. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, this is indicative of what the rest of the show is like. And in terms of the comedy, it is a sitcom, and I would call it a kind of a B- grade sitcom in terms of the jokes are somewhat rehashed from sitcoms of the 90s. But I did find funny elements to it. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the fact I did enjoy Jen Walters as a character. And I think when people say it's woke, I still say it's not woke, because the things you would think is woke, they actually poke fun at it. There's a joke where Jen Walters is kind of a chatty woman, and the joke is made at her expense for being that chatty woman. There's also, she got fired not because she was a woman, but she was a superhero. There are just elements and themes in there that you just don't associate with being woke, and they do poke fun at it. What is it? Oh yeah, she wanted to be that empowered lawyer, and so she demands that she choose her own paralegal, and her boss just, I don't really care who you hire as a paralegal. Kind of taking the steam out of it. So, by bringing up what could be seen as woke elements and making fun of it, I think you take the steam out of the show being a woke show. And so, and I will say this, I believe with Paul Chato, the real heart of the series happened near the back end when she does interact with Abomination, and you do hear his story. And this is where that kind of sitcom, that light lawyer drama comes in. I will say though, I love seeing Cousin Larry as her dad.
Well, I mean, look, they finally settled into what the show is with episode 2, and we'll see. You're either going to like that kind of show or not. And I respect people's opinions that they don't like the show. That's fine. I think some of it feels a little like they're ignoring some of the things that actually, like the fact that it's very clear in the first episode that the Hulk is stronger than She-Hulk. It's made explicitly clear when they have a rock throwing contest, and it ends with Bruce Banner, Professor Hulk, throwing a boulder into the atmosphere where it burns up, and she just concedes, yes, you are stronger. Why is that ignored in every negative review?
Well, they talk about the fight between the two of them, that he should have clearly won that fight.
Right.
At the same time, you have to understand he's smart Hulk. And two, I think there's an element where he understands he has to pull back on his powers for the sake of this fight, that I think he knew the fight had to happen, and he wasn't going to go full Hulk at that point.
He's not going to murder his cousin, right? Yeah. I mean, he's the Hulk. I feel like this is a Zen version of the Hulk. He's very Zen about things now. Like, sort of, he's gotten to a certain place where it's like, okay, I accept the burden of what this is. I have to keep it under control, kind of like, some sort of health crisis. You got to keep it under control.
I do like the part where, I'm sorry, I do like the part where he's talking about Abomination, and he says, "Yeah, when I encountered the Abomination, I was a different person, literally."
Yes, that was funny. That was funny. But no, look, you know, and the thing is this: if history proves right, Disney, Marvel, the Marvel series on Disney Plus always end up poorly. They have. I don't think there's been a one that's had a satisfying ending. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Has there been any Disney Marvel Plus series that may have started out both good or bad?
Had a great ending, you're saying?
That had like a really good ending. We're like, oh man, that series is so great. Hope they make a season 2. Or you know what? That was a great story that needed to be told.
I think WandaVision, to me, WandaVision comes closest to that, but not the others.
No, none. And then also additionally, like I feel that the problem that I have with these Marvel series on Disney Plus is it's all the inconsequential stuff that happens between the movies. Like nothing matters. Like now we've gotten to the place where really nothing matters in the movies anyways, the Marvel movies, which is why Phase 4 was just didn't really mean anything. It felt like felt like nothing that happened in Phase 4 Marvel meant anything. And now you've got the Marvel series on Disney Plus that mean less than anything. They just mean less than that even, because they're the inconsequential things that happen between the movies, meaning you should not have to watch the Marvel series on Disney Plus to be able to enjoy the movies. But I guess for Doctor Strange, you had to. And this show is just self-contained. Every episode, there are some conflicts that carry over from episode to episode, which is fine. It's like a series arc, a season arc. And then you've got like the episode, your A story and your B story. And it's an incredibly simple show. And I kind of feel like that they settled into a very like a popular, tried and true sitcom, a legal sitcom format that works. It's like, oh, that's a type of show that works. Just make that. And when they broke that, when they did the kind of She-Hulk origin on Hulk's party island, that didn't work for people as a first episode. So I would just say, I would say if you have an open mind, stick with it. And if you don't like it,
there's nothing you can say to convince someone who doesn't like it, who has that extreme Marvel hate at the moment. And I get it. I understand why you feel that way. And I feel bad that this is the casualty of that. I mean, I will say, and I get called out on this all the time, this is the best Disney Plus series out there right now that they've done. And whenever people call me out, I always answer the same question: which one was better than this? And no one has that answer yet.
Well, Fletcher Williams, right on the money with this comment. Alan needs to get that Disney money.
Yeah, believe me, they're going to treat me well at D23.
Dempsey, speaking of She-Hulk, how is the Disney trial coming along? We're in the middle of, we've had sort of a changing of the guard on producers. And it's a good thing. It happens. Life happens to people. So Flaccid Phoenix still involved in the channel. We have Glanuccio is here taking care of us. And we're going to be transitioning to our trial. Probably going to start that like right around the time that Andor happens. Attorney Wu would beat She-Hulk in court, though. I completely agree. I think Attorney Wu, thank you, not the Batman. Extraordinary Attorney Wu is the better. I think that's a much better show on Netflix, and that's more of a drama than a comedy. Has comedy elements, and Fat Elvis says, "Man, bad." See, the thing is this: yes, there are bad men in She-Hulk, and there are good men in She-Hulk. You can't ignore that there are good male characters. There are good male characters and there are bad male characters. You can't just focus only on the bad male characters.
Yeah. And it's a sitcom, but to that point, there is that misogynist male character that's working in the DA office in LA. How in the world does LA allow a man like that to continue to work for them?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that our leadership here in Los Angeles is pretty freaking awful. 218 says,
they're woke awful, and that a guy like that would never exist in the DA's office.
I haven't minded She-Hulk, but my favorite parts were both end credit scenes. Yeah,
I
would say that. Cameron Montillo, the fourth wall is outstaying its welcome. No, I would say it's okay. It's not overused. It's only once or twice an episode, and I think that's all you need. It's not. I don't think it's overused. I think when you watch it in its entirety, Alan's going to be in the Disney parade this week.
Oh, if only.
Fletcher Williams.
If only.
Bethel Games, Be Attorney, superhero sitcom, but at least it does have a big green dancing baby. There you go. Dempsey, She-Hulk writer, also wrote Pickle Rick, so take that what you will. That's cool. And how is Abomination going to get parole? He destroyed a city, says Fletcher Williams. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we'll find out.
Episode 3.
218. I think people have to approach She-Hulk as if it's only half canon. It can't really be judged as if it's alongside Avengers or other shows. It's just its own thing. I would agree. I think it's just its own thing, its own like a comic run. Like canon can be burdensome, especially when you've got decades when in the comics, right? It's like, okay, you're trying to thread that needle and tell like an original story. I think the best thing is not to necessarily ignore canon, but to tell a story outside the canon that fits, if that makes sense.
I mean, if you think about it, like Abomination is on trial, and in the next few episodes it'll be Wong in a way. So they're not. It's not like they're going after Captain America and Iron. You know, the OGs. It's the side characters that they're going after.
But Bruce can't control his anger because he was never tested in life, like getting catcalled. Well, Shakti, let me just say, I don't know. I kind of feel like, catcalled. I guess that's I don't know. I don't really I've never even seen anything like that. Does that really?
You know, I have seen that. I have women. I have women who have said those things. Women in my life who've said those things, who felt that way, and I would say some of them I know believe that and have gone through experiences like that. My issue with that speech in the first episode is she, as a character, hadn't earned it in the sense of she's just saying it. She's just saying as if all women experience this, all women feel this way. But we didn't see anything in her life that would lead her to come up with that conclusion in her life. And that's why I think that speech would serve itself better in the middle of the series than right off the bat.
Well, and then the other thing she does say is like, fear of actually getting physically attacked or murdered. And that, like, I hate to say the show takes place in Los Angeles. Yeah. That's a real possibility.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing of like, this town has become crime ridden and dangerous. There are parts of LA as a city that I just avoid. It's worse than Detroit. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Really old movie says, what about the scene where she says she contains her anger better than him? Yeah, look, people are really, really hung up on that scene. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, she really gotten to know Bruce. Like, they're having that conversation. She's perfectly within her right to have those feelings, I believe, because that is a real, Los Angeles is such a shithole now. I mean, just like it's horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, you hear that more in LA and New York than you do in the rest of the country, I think.
That's true. And then Flaccid Phoenix is here. Says this series is so off tone for what people want out of the Hulk. Only Funko Pop fans want this from Bruce. Yeah, I do think this may be a setup for like.
I mean, you're not wrong. That's you're not wrong.
Shuxy says, well, when I see a good male character in She-Hulk, I'll let you know. I think there have been. Doesn't she have a coworker that's Retro Nerd Girl says
you have a coworker that's male and not a misogynist.
Not a jerk. Like, and Emil Blonsky is kind of a good person too, or he's come to that. Retro Nerd Girl says, I'm enjoying She-Hulk for what it is setting up for a broader story about the Hulk on Sakaar for a future project. I am really excited about that. We're talking about World War Hulk.
I thought we had World War Hulk already.
Patrick Lemire says, I like the old school sitcom thing, but there's no real arc. You can pop in an old Newhart and not be lost. No, but I feel like with this, you can mostly do that. I mean, it's there's not a real arc for her, but that's a trope of sitcoms. At the end of the sitcom, everybody's the same. Nobody grows. There's no growth. There's no change. A sitcom trope is at the end of the show, you just see everyone's.
I think there's an arc, but I think it's happening over the course of the 9 episodes, and it's slow. is slow, but you do see her changing just by the fact that she has to deal with being a superhero, being a high profile lawyer, and then how that changes her over time. And I think we're seeing it. We will see it.
And catcalling and misogyny just seems to happen in the movies and TV shows. I've yet to see it in real life, says Ian Morrison, movie nutcase. Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, maybe more in the big city, like New York, LA, these kind of things happen. And that's sort of what is annoying about a lot of people who write in film and television is they need to go somewhere outside of New York and LA.
Mm-hmm.
They need to go to, and I don't mean Austin, Texas. I mean, like, go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. So
it does. I mean, I think the point is it does happen. I don't think it happens at the frequency that the series is leading us to believe, but it happens.
Well, let's end it here with Solomon Thornton says, I will always say that MCU should have taken a break after Endgame. Solomon Thornton, we have mentioned that like maybe after Endgame, like don't make movies for a while, or what they should have done is just rather than continue with these characters, kind of close the book on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they could have done is gone back to the 60s in a different universe and told the stories of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. X-Men and Fantastic Four could be its own giant thing. And they could have just done that for a decade and then come back and maybe rebooted. Who knows? So yeah. And then Shucksy says, thank God I'm a man and never have to worry about getting attacked or killed. Well, first of all, Shucksy, I agree with you. I know that's true. Of course. Like, that's true. But like one thing that she has an experience and tells her experience doesn't invalidate other people's experiences. Does that make sense? It doesn't invalidate other people's experiences. So I think this is true for her, true for that character, and that's fine. And also, my guess is any sort of character change or arc is going to come in movies because what's going to happen is She-Hulk is going to be in the Avengers. That's going to happen, right? That's definitely going to happen. And I think that's where they save any of the changes. That's why these Disney Plus Marvel shows have been sort of weak to me, is that nothing really changes, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a prequel comic to a movie. It's like, all right, we already know how the movie starts. Whatever. And Patrick Lemire says the trial of Lucasfilm should cover future crimes, Minority Report style. Lucasfilm is working towards the rebooting of the original trilogy with Leia as the center and Luke as being the side Jake. Really? Is that? Yeah. I mean, eventually they're going to remake it, but I don't think while George Lucas is alive. So there you go. And the end of the speech is part I don't like. Everyone has bad things happen to them, but she directly said infinitely more than you to the freaking Hulk.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with that last part there.
But wait, let me just say, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark, which to me, there would be no Marvel Cinematic Universe if he didn't play that part. And that, I mean, he was just such a force for creating the world of Marvel, and Jon Favreau deserves a lot of credit for that. And I think it came out recently that he was vehemently against killing Tony Stark, and the Russo brothers had to have a whole conversation with Jon Favreau about why they thought it was a good idea. Jon Favreau was like, you can't kill Tony Stark. He was like really against it. But Tony Stark started as a selfish asshole, right? He started as a selfish asshole and became a selfless person who gave his life.
Who committed a selfless act.
Who committed a selfless act. Characters, where they begin is not necessarily how they're going to end. And if they're going to have an arc, it's boring to have people be perfect. That's why Captain Marvel's such an awful character. Yeah. She's perfect in the beginning and perfect at the end. I can't tell you that Jennifer Walters is perfect. She's not. And her lack of empathy for her cousin Bruce is a thing. And at some point, she may come to understand the pain and suffering that he's gone through, because she was literally gifted these powers in a way that like has benefited her. Where for the Hulk, it's been a curse.
Yeah, it was a fight. I think that was the whole point in the first Avengers movie, that he's always angry, that this was something he had to to control, and at that point in time, he still was not able to control his rage, his anger, and when the Hulk comes out.
So that speech, and I agree with you, Dempsey. It's like, yeah, okay, yes, but she has an opportunity to now experience things that will change her outlook. Characters that are perfect are rarely interesting. They're just not. And I think she comes preloaded with some flaws that might be considered common. You know, a little bit of narcissism, a little bit of just like a little too selfish, a little make it all about me. Well, maybe that's gonna change in over the course of how She-Hulk is used both in the television show and, you know, the upcoming movies.
Yeah, I would say that this may be controversial, but this is the problem I have with Superman: is he's perfect versus Batman, who struggles and has a dark side. And I think that's why I think Superman's stories are harder to tell than Batman's stories.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I like where they were kind of going with Man of Steel. Like, I feel like that was, you know, what we could have a whole that movie holds up way better.
I did not like Man of Steel. So.
That movie holds up way better. I'm just posting some comments here because we got way too much to do.
Yeah.
She-Hulk's origin is terrible. She should have been in the wreck, gotten knocked out, and Bruce has no choice but to give her blood to save her.
The comic book origin is so much better with the blood transfusion than the happenstance crossing of blood.
Yeah, I think they just, you know, I don't know.
There's a shortcut.
There's probably a way they could have done it. I don't know.
Yeah, he could have given her a blood transfusion.
Yeah, he could have given her a blood transfusion. Look, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, Bruce never had unqualified men like Stark talk to him about his area of expertise.
Yeah, like if he had given her the blood transfusion, that puts a little onus on him for giving her his powers, and that now he has a little guilt there that he can deal with in the futures, somewhere down the road.
Right. All right. Cool.
And I'm just saying, there's a better storytelling there.